Am Montag war der Jahrestag des Hamas-Angriffes auf Israel. Seit einem Jahr erleben wir quasi eine nicht enden wollende Eskalation im Nahen Osten. Der Krieg Israels gegen die Palästinenser hat mittlerweile über 42.000 Todesopfer gefordert. Ein Großteil davon Frauen und Kinder. Zudem droht Israels Aggression gegen den Libanon und den Iran, die gesamte Region in einen großen Krieg zu stürzen. Wo stehen wir heute, ein Jahr später im Vergleich zum 7. Oktober 2023? Wie hat sich die strategische Lage im Nahen Osten verändert? Ist der Plan der Hamas aufgegangen?
Well, I don't know what Hamas's plan was. There's speculation, a lot of speculation involved in trying to project that. But what I can say is that the world today is completely different and changed because of what Hamas did on October 7th. And much of these changes is to the detriment of Israel. Israel is a strategically defeated nation today. If you take a look at Israel on the eve of October 7th, 2023, one only has to reflect on a statement made by Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on September 9th, literally a month before the October 7th attack. He was speaking about the India, Middle East, European Economic Corridor that had been announced by President Biden during the G20 summit in New Delhi, India. And he said this will forever change the face of the Middle East. It will make Israel the most relevant nation. It's the greatest event in Israel's history, he said. And today it's gone. So Hamas's action literally changed everything about Israel. Today, Israel is a nation that suffered a $67 billion economic hit because of this war, and it's only going to get worse. Its southern port, Eilat, is shut down. No ships arrive. The economy of Israel is in shambles. Unemployment is at a record high, primarily because people are fleeing. Factories are shutting down, and reservists have been called up to serve in this war. Israel has not achieved any of its military objectives. Hamas is not defeated. Hezbollah is not defeated. Iran is not defeated. The Houthi are not defeated. None of the popular militias are defeated. Instead, they all continue to rain missiles down on Israeli soil. The vaunted Israeli military cannot defend Israel. Israel today is a nation that knows only fear. Its future is perpetual conflict, and its population is losing faith and confidence in the land of milk and honey, which is what Israel was supposed to be. Its number one sponsor, the United States, is starting to have second thoughts about Israel. No, we don't see that with the major politicians. We see, of course, Kamala Harris and Donald Trump debasing themselves by, bowing at the altar of Zionism. The power of the pro-Israeli lobby is still very much evidence in America today. But the American people are starting to question this. They realize that, they have been abandoned by their government, who is comfortable pouring billions of dollars into a failed war in Ukraine and a failed cause in Zionist Israel, and ignoring the plight of American people who are suffering at the hands of natural disasters and man-made disasters, economic and social in nature. This will have an impact on what politicians can be allowed to do in the future. And it, again, is to the detriment of Israel. The global community, the global South, has rejected America's, unapologetic embrace of Israel. Israel has been exposed by its actions as being an apartheid genocidal state. The world rejects this, condemns it. The world is speaking about the need for a Palestinian state. And we see the world is gravitating towards BRICS as an alternative to America, to NATO, to European Union, Israel's traditional supporters. BRICS, take a look at who's coming to BRICS. Iran, Syria has applied. The United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia. These are not friends of Israel. These are friends of the international law-based community that Russia, China, and India are trying to build in BRICS. And as America realizes the damage that's been done to the American brand because of its unabashed support for Israel, the fact that we have lost the global South, we will have to make adjustments for the survival of America. and these adjustments will again be at the detriment of Israel. Israel will not recover from the blow that it suffered on October 7th from Hamas and from the self-inflicted wound it's carried out based upon its actions since that time.
Nach dem iranischen Raketenangriff vor einer Woche wartet die Weltöffentlichkeit noch immer darauf, ob und wie Israel zurückschlagen wird. Der israelische Premierminister Benjamin Netanjahu hat eine harte Rache angekündigt. Aber noch ist nichts geschehen. Laut Medienberichten sollen die USA und Israel bereits gemeinsame Angriffspläne ausarbeiten. Der Iran hingegen bereitet sich demnach auf 10 mögliche Szenarien vor. Wie schätzt du die aktuelle Situation zwischen Israel und Iran ein? Wie wird Israel zurückschlagen und ist der Iran gewappnet dagegen?
First of all, let's understand that Iran is prepared for it. When Iran made the decision to attack Israel on October 1st, it understood that this was not a one-time event, that this was creating a new reality, a new paradigm. And that paradigm is that Iran will no longer tolerate any Israeli misbehavior towards Iran. The idea that Israel can launch some sort of attack that would be acceptable to Iran is ludicrous. Whether they strike nuclear targets, whether they strike military targets, oil targets, leadership targets, Iran will respond. And Iran has made it clear how it will respond, by striking the critical infrastructure of Israel, which we now know cannot be defended. That means Israel, a very small nation with only a handful of critical infrastructure targets, will lose all electricity, all running water, all means of communication. In effect, it'll enter the Stone Age. This is why Netanyahu hasn't ordered the attack, because this is a reality that cannot be avoided. If Israel attacks Iran, Israel will be destroyed. End of story. We know that Israel cannot destroy Iran. They can do damage to Iran, but they can't destroy Iran. The United States won't attack Iran either. I don't understand why the news media runs with stories of this nature. If the United States were to attack Iran, then every military installation in the Middle East would be subjected to immediate and decisive destruction at the hands of the Iranians. Thousands, if not tens of thousands of American lives would be put at risk, and this would plunge us into a war that would have devastating consequences, not only in terms of lives lost, but economic harm. We're in the middle of a presidential election season. A war is the last thing America needs or wants. A war will guarantee Kamala Harris will not win. And since Joe Biden has handpicked her to be his successor, Joe Biden's not going to commit political suicide on behalf of Israel. The United States is not encouraging an Israeli attack. It's discouraging an Israeli attack. They're not working out joint strike platforms. They're telling Israel that they will defend Israel, but they will not participate in an attack. This is the reality. What Benjamin Netanyahu chooses to do is up to him. There's a lot of domestic political pressure being put on him. And since most of what's happened since October 7th, 2023, has been about the political survival of Benjamin Netanyahu, not the survival of the Israeli state, he may very well order military strikes against Iran. But when he does, that will be the end of Israel. Iran will strike Israel decisively, hitting targets that will have a devastating impact on Israel. And I think that's the one thing that holds Benjamin Netanyahu back. I think he's one strategy he might be employing is to bluff his way to the best possible concessions from the United States by saying, I'm going to attack, I'm going to attack, I'm going to attack. He puts political pressure on the United States to increase the ante, what they're willing to give him to prevent him from attacking. And so far it appears that the United States has responded. I don't know the details, but it has promised increased military assistance, increased diplomatic support abroad. But is this enough to salvage Netanyahu's political career? I mean, he took a big hit on October 1st when the Iranian missiles hit Israel, hit Israeli bases, Israeli targets that he had told the Israeli people would be protected by, the Israeli missile defense shield. Clearly, this is yet another in a string of security failures that Benjamin Netanyahu has been, at the helm for. We'll see what happens, but I think it's ridiculous to talk about American participation in an attack on Iran. The price we would pay would be politically unsustainable for the Biden administration. And that's very critical, some 30 days off of a national election.
Der israelische Fernsehsender Kan 11 berichtete am Wochenende, dass die USA angeblich Israel Kompensationen anbieten, wenn Netanjahu davon absieht, kritische Bereiche des Iran anzugreifen. Dazu gehören vor allem die iranischen Ölraffinerien und die Nuklearanlagen. Der Bericht deckt sich mit der Forderung von US-Präsident Joe Biden, diese kritische Infrastruktur nicht zu einem Ziel zu machen. Ist da etwas dran an den Berichten? Was könnten die USA Israel anbieten? Und warum sind gerade die Öl- und Nuklearindustrie so kritisch, selbst für die US-Interessen?
Well, first of all, I do believe that I believe that the gist of this report is accurate, that the U.S. is desperate to prevent an Israeli action and is willing to put considerable financial and diplomatic resources on the table. What exactly those are, I don't know. We've already given Israel pretty much everything in our arsenal. So, give them more of the same. I don't know. I think we could do according to Israel, we could do a stronger job of backing them up diplomatically, forcefully at the United Nations. But again, this will backfire because the world, all it will do is further tie the United States to Israel at a time when the world has rejected Israel for its genocidal activity. So it'll weaken the United States, not strengthen it. But that just shows the desperation of the Biden administration to avoid any decisive conflict between Israel and Iran in the lead up to the November 5th election in the United States. Iran has already said that its nuclear infrastructure is of existential nature, that if it's struck, that means that Israel is seeking to destroy the Islamic Republic, and they will respond in a similar fashion to destroy Israel. The same thing with its oil. The difference between with the oil is that Iran will also ensure that there is no oil production in the entire Middle East. This is just the reality of it. Iran can't allow a situation to occur where its oil infrastructure can be targeted while the rest of the Middle East continues to pump, life-giving liquid out of the earth. They have said that they will shut down Middle East oil, and they have proven that they have the capacity to do so, and they will do so. And that'll be the end of the global economy. I mean, if you Europeans think you have it tough now, just wait till you see the prices go through the roof, which will be what happens if Israel attacks Iranian oil, which is another reason why the world is sitting back and letting Israel even posture this way. It shouldn't be the United States telling Israel no. It should be the entire world screaming no at the top of their lungs, letting Israel know that that there will be existential consequences, that the very existence of Israel will be called into play because Israel is threatening the very existence of many economies around the world, which means the lives of hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people will not only be detrimentally impacted, but could be put at risk in the lead up to a wintertime where energy is very important to provide heat, to provide electricity, to provide, the basic necessities of civilized life. The world needs to call it out as such. But, so far the pro-Israeli lobby has shown that it has great reach, not only in the United States, but around the world. And it's, I guess, politically difficult for nations to stand up. But again, this will change when the economic reality of Israel's actions hit home. You'll find that people aren't so inclined to support Israel blindly when they're struggling to survive in their own nation because of the actions of Israel. But we'll see what happens. This blackmail by Israel, it's a card that can be played now because of the politics. It's not a card that can be sustained, and it's a bad look for Israel. Israel's best chance right now is to accept the American negotiated ceasefire, bring an end to this conflict, get rid of Benjamin Netanyahu, replace him with a leader that might be able to salvage Israel's position. But if they continue down this path, as I alluded to before, all doors will be closed to Israel going forward.
Auf deinen Social-Media-Kanälen schreibst du, die USA hätten weit mehr Araber getötet als Israel. Wir haben Millionen von Arabern getötet, mehr als jeder andere auf der Welt. Wir zögern nie, Araber zu töten. Wir können sie verhungern lassen, wir können sie mit Bomben in die Luft jagen. Wir haben es getan. Und warum? Weil sie uns egal sind. Sie sind keine Menschen für uns. Wir respektieren ihre Religion nicht, wir haben keine Wertschätzung für ihre Kultur und wir sehen sie nicht als Menschen. Kannst du das bitte präzisieren? Hat die Führung der USA tatsächlich keinen Respekt davor, arabische Leben zu schonen?
Well, I don't know how much more blunt I can be than I was. Just take a look at the Biden administration. Israel's committing literal genocide against the Palestinian people, literal genocide against the Palestinian people, and we are providing them the weapons to do it. Do I need to make my case? I think it's already been made. Look at Iraq. We invaded Iraq illegally after a decade of sanctioning it, in which we starved and caused people to die of disease, shortened lifespans through sanctions, millions of people, and then we invaded them illegally, slaughtered them physically, and then occupied them brutally, subjecting hundreds of thousands, if not millions of more, to lingering death. Look at Syria, what we did to Syria. Look at Lebanon. Everything we touch dies. We allow the FBI to run around and harass the Muslim population of America because of their religion. And we sit back and say, well, it's not us. It's them. And that's the problem. Them. What do we mean by them? Brown people? Black people? They dress differently. They profess their religion differently. They're different than us. That must make them less than us. Again, I know I'm going to piss a lot of people off, but say I'm a perfect description of how Americans describe Arabs, because it shows how ignorant we are as a people and how despicable we are as a people when we use a term that we know is insulting even to ourselves to describe them, and we laugh about it. We chuckle about it. It's cute. There's nothing cute about it. What America has done to the Arab world is disgusting. Almost as disgusting as the Arab world's leaders allowing it to be done to them. Because if there's any entity that has less regard for Arab life than the United States of America and Israel, it's the Arab elites who have subordinated themselves to our policies and allowed this to happen. Yes, our bombs, our airplanes equip the Israeli military that kills, slaughters, commits genocide against the Palestinians, but the Arabs, their Arabs brothers, sit back and let it happen. Let it happen. Where is the president of Egypt? Where is the king of Saudi Arabia? Where is the king of Jordan? Where is the Arab world? Maybe one day the Arab street will rise up and solve this problem for us and drive these elites out. But until that time, the Arabs apparently hate the Arabs as much as Americans hate the Arabs, because all this murder is taking place, and yet they still do business with us. How can you do business with America? We hate you. Don't they know that by now?
Liebe Zuschauer, wenn euch unsere Beiträge gefallen, teilt sie unbedingt in den sozialen Medien. Abonniert unseren Kanal und drückt auf die Glocke, damit ihr keine Veröffentlichung von Gegenpol verpasst.